This is what you should do. I should come first. Shut your mother up and send her back where she came from, you know?
Welcome back to Love, Exes, and O's, where your two favorite divorce lawyers talk about love, relationships, divorce, and life. I'm Leah Mayersohn, and I'm here with my co-host, Denise Isaacs. And together, we've been practicing for about 70 plus years collectively.
Today, we're going to be talking about one of the worst influences on any marriage, the in-laws. How the in-laws can ruin any marriage. And I'm not limiting it just to the mother-in-law or the father-in-law. We have to include sisters and brothers, because family can destroy a marriage.
Absolutely. We actually have had a recent case where the couple was doing amazingly, and then the mother-in-law came to stay with them. And the client knew that the mother-in-law was going to come for about 30 days from a foreign country. And 30 days came and went, and 60 days came and went. And by the 90th day, on a daily basis, the mother-in-law was tormenting my client, getting involved in the relationship between the two of them, getting involved in everything with their kids, deciding how everything should be. And it was quite obvious that it was the mother-in-law's intent to break up the entire marriage, which was really disturbing. And guess what happened?
Well, let me guess, okay? He filed for divorce and found you.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And it's such a shame, because if the wife could have convinced her own mother to leave, they could have saved the marriage and saved everything that they had built in this country together.
So what we're talking about is the new couple establishing their own nuclear family that needs to understand that their relationship comes first, that they don't discuss things with the outer families, with the in-laws, and they make their own decisions, and they don't allow the in-laws to take over their relationship. That is the reason for most marriages breaking up.
Absolutely.
The fault lies not in the mother-in-law. The fault lies in the wife. So he's blaming the mother-in-law for getting in there. He should be blaming the wife and saying, this is what you should do. I should come first. Shut your mother up and send her back where she came from, you know?
I see a lot of situations where annoying becomes toxic, especially around finances. Sometimes I see it as a power and control issue, like you've discussed, and a lot of the time I see it as finances, where the parents agree to pay for something like buying a house or buying a car or supplementing income, and because of that, they want power in the relationship and to control everything. What do you think about that?
I think you're right. What advice would we give people who are entering into a marriage? The parents of either side, the in-laws, say, oh, we'll help you buy the house. Oh, we'll send the children to school. We'll pay for the private school. We'll pay for the preschool. We'll pay for this. We'll pay for that. Then they tell you how to bring up your children. And then they want to tell you how to spend your money. Oh, you're buying that car? You shouldn't be spending that kind of money on a car. And then they, little by little, they try to take over and have the new marriage mirror their marriage.
A lot of times, the people themselves need to go ahead and set boundaries.
Yes, boundaries are very important.
A boundary is when you explain, in this particular circumstance, to your parents, thank you so much for giving us this money. That's so generous. But we are only going to accept it if we can make these decisions, such as picking their own house, or what school their kids are going to go to, or how to discipline their kids. Because a lot of times I'll see money comes with strings attached. Do this.
Definitely. Money comes with strings attached forever. And you have to cut it off. And boundaries.
And I've seen a lot of situations where couples turn down the money because they don't want the parental interference.
I have never seen situations where where couples turn down the money. Never.
Oh, I know a lot of people who've
Mhm.
turned down the money because of the strings it comes with. But I agree with you. More people take the money and then they're upset about the strings that come attached. I think if you're going to take the money, you need to upfront have the conversation about what's involved with it. Like, for example, that we've decided as a couple on this particular home that we want to buy. Great. Yay or nay. Versus, okay, here's money, but you can only buy a house in our neighborhood.
Oh, I see the strings. I definitely see the strings.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
listen, I can't blame grandparents for wanting to be close to their grandkids or their prospective grandkids. So I understand why they're giving the strings. Likewise, there are lots of other kinds of manipulation that I see.
Like what?
I see some positive and I see some negative.
Tell me some positive.
Positive is to reinforce something positive that they're doing as a couple, like helping them upgrade their lives to a nicer lifestyle and not demanding where they're going to live. Things like that, helping them upgrade the vehicle so that the spouse who's driving the kids to and from school has a safer vehicle.
Okay.
I've seen some negatives, such as, oh, since your spouse isn't earning enough to help support you, we're going to provide that stopgap measure and trying to put pressure on the other spouse to quit
earn
their
more
job,
money. Yeah.
earn more money, do something else, and change what they're doing.
And then what they're doing is they're actually putting down that spouse, devaluing him and saying, oh, we're so much better. You should do better than marrying that person.
Exactly. The spouse whose parents are either trying to give the money or trying to interfere is the one who needs to put up the boundaries, not the other spouse, or else you're going to create some animosity.
So what you're doing is you're trying to figure out or help the couple figure out how to navigate excessive demands from the in-laws.
Absolutely.
And what kind of suggestions would you have for that?
It depends on the circumstances. Now, we do a lot of prenups and a lot of postnups.
Right.
And
where the parents are giving money for the house.
I've seen money for the house, money for a business, money for an upgrade, money for cars, money for kids.
Yeah.
But as
Private
long as
schools,
the couple goes ahead and follows what the in-laws want. And sometimes they do it nicely and sometimes it's not so nice. And we can see that up front. Now, depending upon whether it's a prenup or a postnup, when it's a prenup, if it's really bad, I've told many clients to go running up front.
Yes. What I tell them is, oh, you think you're marrying into money? Find yourself a plumber. He'll give you everything instead of cutting you out of everything in the prenup.
There are a lot of crazy scenarios that happen. I see a lot of parents who didn't provide proper estate planning up front for themselves. All of a sudden, as their kids are getting older and they're realizing...
I think that we're getting into estate planning.
No. I think when they start to realize their mortality, they sometimes demand that their child does a postnup, which could provide other problems into the marriage. Because if the people are getting along just fine, now all of a sudden the in-laws come in and they demand that their child have the spouse execute a postnup so that they could transfer certain assets. It could create a disruption in the marriage as well, depending upon how it's done.
It is imperative that you make sure that you don't accept money that has strings attached. You have to understand the conditions that they say that you can have this money only if you do this. And that is the time to say, no, we're not accepting your money.
Or you have a frank discussion with your spouse and you make sure that the two of you are on the same page and have a united front before you do anything like that.
Yes, a united front is imperative. It's the only thing that's going to save the marriage.
So an example of money with no strings attached is, here, honey, I'm going to give you $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, go buy yourself a house. An example of money with strings attached is, here, honey, I'm going to give you the same amount of money, but you need to buy a house in my neighborhood within 5 minutes of me.
Right, right. And send the children to this school. You say, thank you very much. I'm not accepting it because I want the children to go to this school. I want to live here. I don't want to live in the house behind you.
And I think you can have the same conversation, but negotiate it and be a little bit more diplomatic and still get what you want.
Yes.
I think that if you talk to them and are upfront and handle it really nicely, like, oh, that is so generous of you to offer whatever it was that your parents offered, and then to kind of negotiate the ground rules, explaining, hey, we want you involved in our child's lives as much as possible, but we also need to have some couple time so that we can have a stronger marriage. Why don't you go ahead and maybe we establish Friday night and Saturday night as date night, and you take the kids those nights so you have one-on-one grandparent time with them, and we're going to have our couple time alone, and explain where you want your kids to go to school and things like that. And that's when it becomes a deal breaker. Now, the fourth issue that we want to talk about today regarding in-laws wrecking your marriage and your spouse not standing up for you. At some point in time, the spouse realizes that they don't have an in-law issue, they have a spouse issue.
Yes.
And I think that they need to realize that if their spouse is not willing to stand up for them, not willing to set the boundaries, then it's the problem with the spouse. And then they have to make a value judgment as to whether or not they want to continue the marriage, or they want to continue to allow their spouse to have them under the thumb of their in-laws.
It is the perfect time for therapy. I believe in couples therapy. I cannot tell you. And you need to catch it in the beginning. You need to go to therapy in the beginning to make sure that your spouse recognizes and understands that they have to keep their parents out of the marriage.
The in-laws don't have to ruin your marriage, but if you let them, they just might do so. Now, we want to hear your worst in-law stories. We've heard some pretty bad ones.
Oh, yeah.
But we want to hear the worst of the worst. So please DM those to us and we can talk to you about it on our next Love, Exes, and O's. And if you want to hear more from us, please send your questions to info@loveexesos.com. And you can also give us a call at the number below. And please share this video with anyone you think might learn from it or might need to hear about this. And remember, marriage is a contract. Make sure you read the fine print.
And if you want to find me, I'm at Divorce Lawyer Denise on all social media.
And if you want to find me, I'm at Mayersohn Law or at Mayersohn Law Group.